Are we close to seeing Mr. Kim here at the White House?
Could happen. I mean,
they talked about that yesterday.
I would have him. Yeah, I think it's something that could happen. Yeah. Hey, he's the head of a country, and I mean, he is the strong head. Don't let anyone think anything different.
Right.
He speaks, and his people sit up at attention. I want my people to do the same.
President Trump once again praising North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un and Kim's control over the people of North Korea during an interview this morning. When later pressed by a reporter at an impromptu press conference on the White House lawn, Trump insisted that he was just joking. The president's comments follow the Washington Post's reporting about Trump's visit to Singapore. Quote, at one point, after watching North Korean television, which is entirely state-run, the president talked about how positive the female North Korean news anchor was toward Kim, according to two people familiar with his remarks. He joked that even the administration-friendly Fox News was not as lavish in its praise as the state TV anchor, one of the people added, and that maybe he should get a job at U.S. television instead. With us tonight, Ken Thomas, White House reporter for the Associated Press. He was on the White House lawn with President Trump today. And retired four-star U.S. Army General Barry McCaffrey, a decorated combat veteran of Vietnam, a former battlefield commander in the Persian Gulf. He is now an MSNBC military analyst. Thank you both for being with us. Ken, let me start with you because you were there, and maybe you could add some context to this if there is any to add. The president says he was just joking in that Fox News interview. Explain what it was like, the interaction between the press and the president after that interview.
Well, you know, there was questions about what he meant in this interview. We were able to get a rundown as it was happening on Fox. But, you know, this is an example of the president praising another autocratic leader. And, you know, we've seen it with Duterte in the Philippines. We've seen it with King Salman in Saudi Arabia. We've seen it in a lot of places, especially with Vladimir Putin. And you have to juxtapose it with the lack of discussion that we saw on human rights in Singapore. Kim Jong-un has 100,000 or more political prisoners. That's the size of a city like South Bend, Indiana, or Gainesville, Florida. And it really didn't merit a lot of attention. It certainly wasn't a precondition to the meeting. So I think there's concern when the president speaks highly of these leaders and praises them, that it's an abdication of the moral leadership that the U.S. often provides around the world and presses leaders to do better on human rights and to do more on forcing democratic institutions.
In general, as Ken says, there is this history of President Trump talking about autocratic leaders, and he talks about the great control they have, the great power, these sorts of things. In this instance, I'm wondering, can you see any connection, any potential connection between President Trump offering these kinds of public comments about Kim Jong-un and any potential progress in terms of denuclearization, in terms of resolving the situation? Could one at least potentially be connected to the other?
Well, first of all, I think it's utterly preposterous to talk about how the North Korean people love with fervor Kim Jong-un. I mean, he's a mass murderer. He's slaughtered hundreds of his senior leaders. He's a dangerous man. He's killed his own family. So to some extent, this is simply inane talk by the president if he's doing it because he thinks it's going to change their strategic objectives of nuclear weapons. It won't have any impact on it at all. I think what it does have impact on is it unsettles democratic nations and thoughtful citizens of the United States in particular on what is he up to. Does he actually admire Mr. Putin? This thug Duterte in the Philippines, Erdogan in Turkey, who's stamping out democracy. Is he actually more comfortable dealing with autocrats than with the UK Prime Minister or Angela Merkel in Germany? I think the conclusion may be, yes, he is.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.